My name's Gillian Comerford. I'm one of the creative directors in Boulder Media animation studio based in Dublin City. I was one of the founding members, along with Robert Cullen and Paul O'Flanagan, who's the other creative director in the studio. Rob Cullen started off the studio himself, and myself and Paul came on. We were actually in Ballyfermot College together studying 2D classical animation, and about 6 months or so after, Paul found the studio in Dublin that was looking for animators. So Paul got hired, word went out, I got hired about 6 months later. So Paul was the first animator, I was the second animator, and then progression through those 24 years, we went from animators right the way up to creative directors. Back in the day, mobile phones were only like your small little Nokia screen, teeny tiny, and we were doing like little e-cards and these like little GIFs, messages you could send your friends, and little animals like, hello, happy birthday, little hearts. After the e-cards, we got on to doing like bigger kind of bits and pieces and trying to put ourselves forward for like the big break. And then we got our big break with, it was with Cartoon Network on a show called Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, which was created by Craig McCracken, who would be most known for Powerpuff Girls. So we got that job, and that was pretty much what threw us into the creative space and our name being known globally. In the studio now, there's probably between in-house, hybrid, freelance, there's probably about 250, 300. We have been way bigger in the past as well. We were an independent studio and we got bought by Hasbro, the toy company. And that kind of changed the pipelines that a lot of what we were doing were kind of toy-based shows like My Little Pony and Transformers. And those pipelines would stick within 2-3 pipelines. The 3 pipelines would be 3 shows running consecutively. When our relationship with Hasbro, it was about 6-7 years with Hasbro, when our relationship changed and we're now we're owned now by an Australian studio called Princess Pictures. So that's more, we found our identity, but we realised we don't want to go any further than the 3 pipelines because that's what we're comfortable with, and we feel that the quality stays where we want it to be. It's like too much too soon, and you kind of we're losing the integrity of what the studio was about in the first place. So we kind of, over the last 5 years, we've reined that right back in, and now we're exactly where we want to be. It's very, very creative space. We've got a lot of ownership on what we do now as well. When you're in the confines maybe sometimes of a corporate world, you can't do certain things. So yeah, we're back. I did 4 years in Ballyfermot, and that was classical animation. We did life drawing, we did drawing and painting, we did layout design. It's kind of a little bit of everything, and you have to kind of do an end of year film in the 4 years. And yeah, so I did my film. Didn't think it was going to be very successful in any way, shape or form. And despite the fact that I'd found a little bit of confidence going into art college and been confident around friends and kind of finding out who I was as a person, I still had zero confidence in maybe my artwork, or I wasn't as good as I was good. I was all right. Like, I didn't like do badly in college. I'd say confidence was always an issue. And then when I left, we go into Rob looking for staff, and I feel like I was in a very lucky place. I was working in a bar at the time and just making money, and my plan was to go travelling. And this opportunity come up, and I was like, I have to go for it. I have to see if I'm going to get it. Every little thing since then has just been, I won't say luck, but it's kind of, things have fallen at really good times for me. It came at the right time. It's provided for me everything that I've ever wanted and more. I never thought I'd be a director, never mind an animation director, never mind a creative director of a global studio. If you told me when I was 10, 11, 12, no, what are you thinking? I would have been absolutely not. So opportunity knocked, and I'll open the door and walk through, and I keep doing that. But as many people have said, well, you wouldn't have got there if you weren't good enough to get there. So I think from a caterpillar, probably turned into a butterfly, and just with the people I've been surrounded with, they've given me so much confidence in what I do and what I'm capable of. And that's kind of why I think I'm here where I am. I work really hard as well. I think creatives are massively hard on themselves to do better, to see. I try not to compare myself to other people. I try to take that as inspiration and only build on it. That, like, do you see a limit on what you can do? No, I never see a limit on what I can do. I always will be like, no, I can do better, I can do better, I can do better. And I think that's a really good thing. Creative director for Boulder Media would be making sure the DNA of the studio is the DNA of the studio. How we want to present ourselves to the world. Boulder's done a lot of service work in its time. So service work had been, we get the storyboards in, we get the audio and the actors in, and we get the scripts in, and we have the character designs and the backgrounds. And we will take all of that, we'll work with the director, and we will make it into this beautiful series that they're looking for. So a lot of what we're doing as creative directors is going out, searching everywhere, creatives all over the place, writers, designers, been involved with choosing the artists that are going to work on who's suitable for this, who would bring the best, what type of show is this, what special magic is needed here. And it's kind of picking and choosing who we can bring together for that group to make that happen. I'm a creative director of the studio, but I also am a supervisor of a show, which is Crapopolis currently. So I am supervising 4 teams, which have 2 animation directors and multiple team leads and multiple animators, background artists, effects artists, compositors. So a lot of responsibility, but I've been doing it for a while, and I think it's something that I know very well and I really enjoy. So it's pretty much working with the team all day. I'll have every day I'll meet up with either my background team, my animation team, effects artists, 3D artists, compositors. And I make sure as a supervisor and a lead that there's leadership there and you're meeting who your team are. I don't like not knowing who I'm working with. I don't like not knowing if they have a problem, they can come to me. Sometimes problems come up and something's going to take longer. Then you really have to be forward thinking. The more you get into a lead position, the less hands-on that you actually do. And it is true because you're managing a team and you are making those kind of decisions, the over the top, like broad decisions over everything. So when I'm looking through an episode, I look at every single background, I look at every single scene, I do my notes on that. I'd rather do a visual guide than type it down. You can see exactly what I'm looking for in the staging. When it comes to animation, it would be just like on frame such and such, we need this more. It's still a really creative job, but I'm not drawing, or I haven't animated in quite a long time, like physically animated. I always wonder if I was to go back now, because a lot of my job is critique, revisions, and looking at amazing things that it might have rubbed off on me, and I'd be way better. Myself and Paul have only ever worked in Boulder, but we have loads of people come in and out from other studios, and we always pick their brains, like, what worked? Is there processes that we do here that we could be doing better? A lot of the process we've learned are from people that shows that we've got in. We've got brilliant packs come in, which would be like your storyboards, how it's laid out. We would go, that is incredible. That's how we're doing it the next time. So you learn from each other, and you'll notice after a while, everyone's doing it the same. If it's done right, it's done right. And there's not really the wrong way. It's just done well. I love when we're given leeway, because we're such a creative space anyway, and there's a lot for us to offer to a project. I think when you're put within those confines, it can get a little stale, it can get a little boring. We're very lucky at the minute. The shows we are working on, they trust us. And why wouldn't they with the experience? Like, obviously, I'd always work really tightly with the client at the start, build the trust, let them know what you're talking about, ask the right questions, build that baseline kind of, actually, she does know what she's talking about, grand. Once they start to feel that, then they'll relax. And then you can really start to let your creative juices flow. And it's nice for the crew to kind of show what they can do as well. And it's not always in the confines. We get studios come in, or networks, and they'll be like, we've got this kind of watercolor, but it's like, we want this. So it's not all just like what you'd see on TV. There's some stuff that we do is very bespoke. It's very artistic. It's very nice to be in animation where you've got the freedom to do whatever the hell you want and experiment and see what is going to happen.